The following announcement is paid for by the Wrestling with Nerds.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
Hey there, the name's Nukem, Duke Nukem, and you're watching the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. For some unknown reason, enjoy.
This honky tonk man, greatest intercontinental champion of all time, and you're watching Wrestling with Nerds podcast. Yes, that's my favorite. Shake, rattle, and roll.
What's going on, wrestling nerds? Welcome to this week's episode of the Wrestling with Nerds podcast. We're jumping right back into 1997. We've made it all the way to July, and it's 3-3. 3 for WWF, me, and 3 for WCW, Nitro, EJ. As you guys know, the guru Ryan Fry, who's, above us all, hi, is grading us basically on how each, well, not us, but WWE and WCW, grading them on how they went through the year. I hopefully don't now do the reverse sweep, or TJ doesn't do the reverse sweep on me, because he's got a pay-per-view. I have Canadian Stampede. Don't know how that was a pay-per-view, but it was a pay-per-view. But Ryan, how are you doing, buddy? You're the only football team today out of the three of ours that won.
Well, I would hope they would beat the Giants, who couldn't even field a kicker for more than a play.
Oh, you guys played each other? That's even better.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I didn't know that they were playing each other.
Yes, the Giants and the Commanders were playing together. And if the Giants had someone that could kick an extra point at the end of the game, the Commanders would have been kicking the game-tying field goal, not the game-winning field goal. But alas, we tear our hamstrings trying to tackle kick returners. In New York.
The Patriots had a 40-yard field goal that if they hit, they won the game. They missed it, went to overtime, then lost the game.
Vinatieri would have hit it.
Hey, yo.
Oh, let's not bury the lead here either. It's kind of somebody's birthday.
I was going to get there.
You took long enough.
I was going to play the whole Marilyn Monroe happy birthday, Mr. President.
I was going to first say are we a wrestling podcast or a football podcast?
You're the one that's wearing the Commander's hat.
That was supposed to be just a thing. So
sure.
It out.
Sure. As you take another sip. All right.
I wish this was a daddy soda today for it being my birthday, but unfortunately people have to call off work, and when you're the boss, when you're one of the bosses or the only one that's a boss that has to drive, you have to go in and work. So this is the cheers. Happy birthday to me.
Wait, so you're working tonight?
Yeah.
On the completion of this episode, I do believe he's going
a bit. So let's get into it. I unfortunately have to start because July 6th is Canadian Stampede. And for all you uninitiated, the Canadian Stampede is held at the Saddle Dome.
Hey, that's where they just were this week.
Yeah, ain't that wild, huh?
Did they on this pay-per-view, did they show an outside picture of the Saddle Dome?
No.
So after you watched SmackDown, did you realize why it's called the Saddle Dome?
I knew it was called the Saddle Dome because I play NHL games.
But do you realize why it's called the Saddle Dome?
Yeah, because it looks like a saddle. Yeah,
It looks like a saddle.
Yes.
Evidently, that's getting torn down. I'm not a hockey guy like you two idiots,
Hey,
But it sounded like
wait,
You're a
wait.
Capitals fan. You've said that.
sounds,
He's only
it
a
sounds-
Capitals fan when they're doing good.
It sounds like they're
Fair weather fans.
tearing. Well, at least it's not a winter fan. They're tearing that stadium down and building a new arena of some sort because the reason that they had Brett on SmackDown is because it's the last wrestling event that's going to be at the Saddle Dome, which was the reason why they put Brett there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that
I
at all.
love that he's so out of touch that Wade Barrett had to point him in direction of Hardcam. Evidently, Brett was even late to an appearance for this instead of being on time.
That's kind of sad.
That's typical Brett.
Got lost in Calgary.
James in the YouTube chat. Hi everybody. I grew up with WWF, but as I got older, I do appreciate WCW. I think that's.
Hi, James. James is a good guy. He's an awesome guy. He'll give you the shirt off his back.
Well, for me, it might have to be a couple extra sizes too big. Or TJ.
I want to see you try to fit in James's shirt.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Lord knows you wouldn't fit in his Power Ranger suit.
God,
that,
one
James.
thing for one thing.
Not that James.
One thing's for sure. We know for a fact when certain T-shirts that AJ wears, he does look like the sweaty Italian.
You have to go there. You had to go there.
By the way, fans, if you're watching on YouTube, this is the circle of life of a beard. Trimmed really short, kind of shaggy, and then somewhat of a full beard.
So did I tell you what happened? Did I tell you what happened?
No.
I went to
Do
shave.
you want to know?
Well, I went to go trim it, and I put on the guard that I thought I normally put on, but put on three sizes too short, I guess, and went. Zzz. Hey, where'd all the hair go? Oh no! And then just had.
That's why you pick one size when you want to trim down to. That's the length you trim down to, and you get rid of every single other guard there is.
You're the third person that told me that.
Yeah. I learned that a long time ago.
So, July 6, 1997, from the Saddle Dome, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, 12,151 in attendance.
TJ, where's this at again?
Calgary.
Okay,
Damn it.
just a second.
Not to be confused with Calgary.
Yeah.
Where's your football team play?
So the first match is Mankind versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. It ends in a double countout. It's a good back and forth match. Mankind, I thought he had won the match with the mandible claw while China was holding onto the ropes. Triple H Irish rips Mankind towards China, and she power slams him, which that was like the first like actual lifting China's done to a male superstar so far, which I thought now that she's starting to really interact that way with some of the male superstars, it's just escalating from there. Power slams him right into the ring post. The match ends in a double countout, and then they start fighting through the arena. And Ryan, I remember the last episode we did. You're going to talk about this is where it's really going to start getting good with Mick Foley and Triple H. Continues very much so.
Wait till next month.
Oh, SummerSlam. Now, pardon how I put this. The Great Suzuki and Taka Michikushi.
It's Taka Michinoku
Michinoku.
and the Great Sasuke.
Sasuke, okay. Apologies. So they get started sorry. They get started in the ring, right? You're all ready for it, and just the camera pans to the left towards the stage, and Triple H and Mankind are coming back out, still fighting. As the match continues to go on, how are they doing over there? Oh, wait, there's still a match here. Hey, wait, how's it going over there? There's still a match here.
This is the start of the WWF trying to compete with WCW in the cruiserweights. They're starting to test the water, tread the water for what they call the light heavyweight division. It's kind of funny here because the great Sasuke wins, but
Yes.
Taka Michinoku becomes the Rey Mysterio, so to speak, of the light heavyweight division as this division starts to pick up more speed.
So this match started with a dud. Nobody cared. By the end of it, that crowd throughout the match built, and built. I was very shocked that you had people cheering and woohooing for any of it, because if I don't, as you know, wrestling fans, if I don't know you, you're not really gonna get much. But yeah, the crowd is very much into it. Third match, Undertaker defeats Vader to retain the WWF Championship. This was a very personal match for the title. A lot of shenanigans from Paul Bearer. Very surprised to see Vader getting punched in the balls, then kicked out, then 2 choke slams, one from the top rope to end the match. So it wasn't just, hit Vader with one thing. You have to hit him in the balls, then hit him with your choke slam twice, and then one choke slam had to be off the top of the rope. So is that just them trying to protect Vader in a way? Have him take a bunch of finishers to then not kick out, Ryan?
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, and I'll double check myself, but Vader was not supposed to be his opponent here. I believe his opponent for this match was supposed to be Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah, Ahmed Johnson got hurt the week
He
beforehand.
blows his knee out the week after joining the Nation.
Which he couldn't have blown it out because he's back by the end of the month.
If you remember, he's back by the end of the month, but he's in like a huge knee brace, and he's very, very limited to what he's doing.
Oh shit!
So he does something to his knee. I'm pretty positive on that one. So yeah, Vader's kind of the substitute here. The one thing to keep in mind, because I remember you said you don't know how this is a pay per view. In your house pay per views back then were only an hour and a half long. They were not a they would go between an hour and a half and a 2-hour show. Very rarely in your houses didn't get what the.
Jessica and I had dinner upstairs. We actually had a nice dinner. And I'm just
finishing the grape juice. Gotcha.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so they wasn't a very long pay per view to begin with. I think the buy rate for these pay per view was only like $19.95. But I think this is just Vader. This is basically Taker and Vader working one of their dark match main events, basically.
Yeah, because they did a lot of dark matches.
Yeah.
Title fight, third on the card?
There's only 4 matches.
Still. Not the main event?
No.
Well, you gotta remember this. This pay-per-view was called the Canadian Stampede. This is the day after the actual Calgary Stampede ended, which is the huge rodeo country festival thing that they do in Calgary.
For people that don't know, if the main title isn't the main event, somebody's doing something wrong. That is TJ's mindset. Am I wrong, TJ?
I mean, I suppose this next match is going to involve hearts and things like that.
That's the main reason this is the main event. It's because it's the entire Hart Foundation in Calgary.
And that makes sense. I mean, they're in Calgary.
The aftermath of this is the reason as well. Is it the story through this though? Something happens to Owen. Is Owen late getting to this match?
Owen and Austin in the middle of this match end up going to the back. I think Owen comes back first, and then Stone Cold. That were in the crowd. The whole family.
The whole family, including people that aren't part of the family, find their way into the ring. There's a well-known documented story about a kid that got into the ring with Natty, and you'll see Tyson Kidd in the ring if you look for him, and David Hart and Davey Boy Jr. But there's a kid that gets into the ring that's not even part of the Hart family and starts hugging members of the Hart family. And you can look at their faces like, who the hell is this kid? We don't even know who this is.
Yeah, so this was a 5-on-5 match. I thought it was a Thought it was a really good back and forth match. I mentioned both Owen Hart and Stone Cold get rushed to the back. Both, I think, were per medical too. They make their returns later in the match. Was looking
Austin
good.
makes his return first
Oh, was Austin's?
because Owen makes his return last, and he's the one that picks up the win by.
That's right. But it was looking good for Stone Cold's team until he flipped off Stu Hart over the guardrail, and the rest of the Hart family decided to come to the rescue and beat the crap. Because I don't know if you noticed, those other people that jumped the barricades were also beating on Stone Cold's team too. Which,
well, you gotta remember this about the Hart family. Yes, they're family, but they're all conceited to themselves of they're gonna get themselves over no matter what. Bruce, which is the blonde-haired brother, he'll do whatever he can to get put on camera. I would imagine without looking, he's like the first brother that jumps the guardrail.
and the British
he's
Bulldog
always
brought his
looking
wife
for a
down
chance.
to brought his wife, who just won Miss Calgary the night before, down to the ring. She's like, I want to get involved, and had somebody like fall right in front of her, and she's like, nope, I'm good.
This was just a good. This was a side piece to Calgary Stampede. It keeps Brett and the rest of the Hart Foundation. They look like heroes in Canada,
Oh,
which at
God.
this time period was
Well,
their plan.
They're back to Canada 3 times in the next month as well.
Exactly, because they're cheered in Canada, booed in the States.
And they
that
build
that
that
was a
up.
great story.
They build that up all month, and it just gets all month.
Not to mention something that I think all three of us are going to watch at some point. This is one of the highly filmed parts for the beginning of the Wrestling with Shadows documentary. This pay-per-view is one of the starts of it.
Really?
The Bret Hart documentary that takes place during this whole time period. We will watch it at some point.
Okay.
But yeah, not a great pay-per-view. Not one of my favorites.
I thought it was entertaining.
But it's July and it keeps the story. It gets you moving to SummerSlam.
So watching it, I was very much entertained, and it kept me, wanting to see more. Am I going to my Monday Night Raw, or are we going to Nitro first?
Since he's almost fallen asleep, we'll go to Nitro verse.
Falling asleep, I'm allowed to yawn, damn it.
I saw the eyes roll back in the head and the
Undertaker's on my show. You don't do
clothes.
that.
So July 7th, 1997, live from the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis?
Memphis, Tennessee. You gonna wrestle me? You gonna wrestle me, Jerry the King Lawler?
We got on tap for our card this evening, Public Enemy defeating Harlem Heat, and which I do believe, if I remember right, Harlem Heat fires Sister Sherry afterwards.
The sister is no longer with the mister. No, okay.
The evening kicks off with Mean Gene interviewing Mr. Perfect, which Flair interrupts and asks him to join the Horsemen. What were the other matches? Conan defeats Joe Gomez via submission. Juventud Guerrera and Hector Garza defeat the Viano 4 and 5.
Good job. I was waiting for you to fuck that up again this week.
When Guerrera pins 5.
With the 540.
Vicious and Delicious. Great name, by the way.
Love that tag team name.
That's such like a porn name.
It fits both of them perfectly because it's Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton.
Defeat Eddie and Chavo, which the side piece of this is Eddie leaves Chavo mid-match to air quote toughen him up. I don't know how leaving your partner to get head toughens him up.
I'm gonna toughen you up, making you go against Vicious and Delicious.
They end up brawling later in the evening backstage.
Just the way you say.
Your next moment is probably without a doubt one of my top 5 or so WCW Monday Nitro moments. This was great.
Oh, well, before we get to that, I was going to say Hall and Macho were messing with Zabisco on
Okay.
commentary. Anyway, DDP, hidden in, you wouldn't have known it was him as he was dressed as La Parka, defeats Savage. Like, just like Savage versus La Parka. Okay, random match, whatever. You know, the chairman of WCW.
You mentioned DDP, and I just remember last night an Upside Diamond is a.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah, DDP just kind of kills Savage, yanks off the La Parka mask, and Hall is distracted by Zabisco this whole time. Like, he's messing with him. The whole thing's going down, and
Macho sends Labisco or sends Hall to the announcing booth. But it was kind of funny. The match starts and you hear La Parka's music, or the ring entrance stuff starts. You hear La Parka's music, but they never show La Parka going to the ring. So you don't see La Parka till he's in the ring, and by then you're like, okay, it's La Parka. And then he double kicks Savage in the face when he jumps off the top rope. Hits a diamond cutter with the mask on, and you're like, wait a minute, what is that? And then he pulls the mask off and it's Diamond Dallas Page. It was amazing. It was a very, very, very cool swerve, bro.
it was entertaining. I had to laugh pretty hard at that one. We get another attempted interview of Raven, to where he ends up slapping the you know what out of Stevie Richards.
No wonder that dude's got concussion issues. Raven slapped the shit out of him.
I wrote it down, but I wasn't gonna say it. But yes,
No,
he
because
slapped
he
the
did.
shit out of him.
You need to make it very verbal that he smacked the shit out of him.
I mean, like, oh, even Mean Gene's like, oh. But yeah, so yeah, he died. We get Flair. Flair brings out another mannequin of Piper, but this time it actually draws out the real Piper. They kind of scuffle for a minute. The rest of the Horsemen come out and jump him, and the build, obviously, for the coming pay-per-view is Flair versus Piper. We're full blown into it, if you remember from June. We get Psychosis and Silver King fighting Glacier and Ernest Miller. It's a no contest, as you can imagine. The other guys, Mortis and what is it, Wrath, and that other the dude,
James Brandenburg.
That guy who has dude's helmet all come out. Thing gets We get the Steiner brothers defeating Benoit and McMichael. And I do believe there might have been a little interference with that, but it's all just so we can end up at the end of the evening with Hogan and Bischoff in the ring. They end up getting cleared out by Luger and the Giant to close the show, because, you know, we're building to that whole big tag team excursion of the Giant and Luger and the Worm and Hogan. Yeah. Our next WCW moment's going to be Bash at the Beach. This was the go home show for Bash at the Beach. We want to go to Bash at the Beach? Do we want to give the man his Raw?
We'll give the man his Raw.
So this Monday Night Raw, July 7th, 1997, Northland Coliseum, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Doesn't give me an attendance, so we'll just skip that for right now. Raw starts with Bret Hart and the Foundation standing in the ring for the Canadian National Anthem after Bret Hart ran down the U.S. and very much talked up Canada, saying we got better health care than you, we treat people better than you. But during the last...
I wonder who won the Stanley Cup that year.
Was it the last time the Maple Leafs did... No, the Canadians?
Canadians, I believe, are the last team to win the Stanley Cup as a Canadian team in like 93.
Oh, ew.
So I gotta laugh that Canada can't even win their own sport in hockey.
They do in the Olympics.
The Detroit Red Wings won the Stanley Cup in 1997.
Canada's so much better. They lost that hockey again.
During the last couple lines of the Canadian National Anthem, Stone Cold comes out of the crowd and starts wailing on the Hart Foundation with a steel chair. So that's the way to get the crowd pissed off at you, which very much works throughout the rest of the night. First match of the night is the Great Sasuke and help me out, Ryan.
Takamichi
Michinoku. It's basically a carbon copy of the night before. It's still a pretty good match, high flying match, and very much high energy. The second match of the night, Savio Vega and Crush in a singles match. Both have their factions at ringside. Wiki says it's a double countout, but I'm pretty sure Vega gets the win via disqualification.
I missed something here.
What's up?
When did these teams show up?
They were just standing at ringside.
Yeah, but when did the factions for these guys start?
Oh, a couple weeks ago.
This is the first appearance that any of them are making on Raw. It's kind of interesting.
No, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure because it's the first time I've seen Skull and 8 Ball on the results.
Yeah, but they've been around.
Skull and 8 Ball.
We've seen those bikes a couple weeks ago.
Skull and 8 Ball are the two bull-headed wrestlers, the Harris brothers. They were a tag team. Ron and Don Harris. They were the Blue, Jacob and Eli Blue in the mid-90s. And they had really big hair, and then they shaved their heads and made themselves bald. And
Disciples of
They sound like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villains.
Crush, of course, and then Chains on this faction in this group is Brian Lee. Brian Lee is the Underfaker from 1994, the fake Undertaker that DiBiase hired.
Yep.
Him and the Undertaker were absolute best friends, inseparable from each other, until rumor has it that Chains may have stepped out with the Undertaker's one of the ex-wives of the Undertaker, I believe.
I swear, I know we've seen them before, but this is the first time. Yeah, they're on the description.
Yeah. So.
But like I said, Wiki says.
What are they? What are they supposed to be? Like a biker Hell's Angels?
Yes. Their names are. They are the DOA, the Disciples of Apocalypse.
Yep.
They're a bike gang, and then Savio's group are Los Boricuas, the Puerto Rican faction. This is that era that everybody talks about where Vince thought everybody should be in a faction. So you have the Heart Foundation, you have the Nation of Domination, you have the Los Boricuas, you have the DOA. You're gonna get the Truth Commission here before too long, which has Kurgan, who's the big 7-foot guy. YouTube nerds would probably remember him in I believe he's one of the bad guys in one of the original Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies. The one that has his teeth. That's Kurgan. They become the Truth Commission, and then you get the oddities, and this is where everybody's
then
in.
You're gonna
group.
get DX in
DX,
2 months.
Yeah, same thing.
But I thought 30 years later, the WWE, the Big Mode, is my faction.
But like I was saying, it says it's a double countout. I'm pretty sure the referee calls for a decision when DOA jumps Savio at ringside. And then they just all go at it. I don't know if Wiki's wrong, but I rewatched it again today when I reread my notes.
We live by the wiki.
Then we cut back to Paul Bearer.
Keep your hands off my wiki.
We cut to Paul Bearer backstage, and he's yelling, calling Undertaker a murderer. He mentions Kane is alive, disfigured, and pissed.
It's gotta be Kane. Your brother is waiting for you.
We don't know that part yet. Tick, 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 tick.
Nation of Domination versus Owen and Bulldog in a tag team finals tournament match. A brawl at ringside causes a count-out victory for Owen and Bulldog, with Owen at the last second sliding in to answer the count of 10. Mankind then comes out to ringside and basically is telling that Stone Cold and him are going to whip their candy asses next week. And then it cuts back to Stone Cold because they were having an interview with Stone Cold through this match. And Stone Cold is calling Mankind an idiot. I'm not tagging with him. I don't want to be his partner. But if that's who Gorilla Monsoon is going to pick for my partner, I'm going to have to deal with it. I'm not going to like it. Stone Cold is very much, I don't want anybody at all.
He's a learner.
Huh? Yes. Yes.
He's a learner.
BTA, don't trust anybody.
He actually says that. I think. No, next week.
One of his tag lines.
No, he goes DTA, you stupid mother. And everything just goes silent for like a half a second. Hunter and Austin with a classic match that unfortunately only goes 9.5 minutes. Stone Cold gets the win when Mankind comes out to it's right here. Never mind. Comes out to ringside and distracts Hunter and gets a chair shot for his efforts. Distracts Hunter. Hunter just grabs a chair, bonk, right in the head. China's completely oblivious at right now. Stone Cold Stunner pin. Stone Cold invites Mankind into the ring. They hug, and then boom. You think that they were about to be a tag team? No. Stunner, DTA, and that's where Mankind is at the edge of the ring, just rocking back and forth, just maniacally. Ooh, my chair shouldn't make that noise. I must be too fat. Then to end the night, Brett and Goldust. 2 minutes into the match, DOA comes to ringside with their bikes, and the Hart Foundation comes to the ramp right at the edge of ringside. They continue to have a decent match, and Ken Shamrock and LOD make it to the upper portion of the ramp, followed by Stone Cold Steve Austin. No interference. Brett just ends up winning, and the Hart Foundation jump in the ring and celebrate, and that's how we go off tonight. So more storylines getting extended.
In your dark match was the Hart Foundation beating Austin and the Legion of Doom.
I mean, still in Canada.
Exactly.
Still another good episode of Raw. We're gonna get the Hart Foundation once again against Stone Cold and a partner. TJ, stop doing that. I did make a note. I absolutely hate Brian Christopher's chuckle. Exactly. Hate it. But yeah,
sounds too much like a clown for AJ. He gets like PTSD.
I am the clown, asshole. TJ.
What an ugly clown.
You're damn right. Go ahead, sir.
We get the bash at the beach. Brought to you live from...
It's the Bash at the Beach, Daytona Beach, Florida, Ocean Center. Only 7,851 in attendance. Oof.
Okay. I'm glad yours is giving you details because mine is apparently said, nope, I don't care that you know where we are.
I mean, granted, their attendance ain't that big because the year before they did the same exact arena, which WCW had a trend of doing anyway. And this was the hostile takeover. Hogan turns heel and everything. They had 8,300 fans in attendance. So must not be a very big arena.
I mean, yeah, Daytona's got a lot of big things in it, but I wouldn't think an arena is one of them.
Got a lot of old people in it. Sorry, but it's true.
And an airport and a racetrack.
The tagline is Hollywood Hogan and Dennis Rodman crash the bash.
So goofy.
Corny as all corny can be.
We get to open the evening Mortis and Wrath with Vanderberg defeating Glacier and Ernest Miller, which I won't lie was kind of like a what the hell? I mean, but I guess that's Glacier's first actual ever pinfall.
Yeah, loss? He gets pinned. It's his first pinfall loss. He's been DQ'd a lot or counted out, but this is his first pinfall loss.
We get Jericho defeating the Ultimo Dragon to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. The Steiner brothers defeat Muda and Masahiro Chono.
And that was a match that they had to win to get a shot at the Outsiders, correct?
For the belts. Before the Steiners match, Raven speaks to Mean Gene cryptically. Stevie Richards shows up, starts talking, and gets cuffed by Raven again. Like, slap the shit out of cuffed.
Concussion.
We go to next. The Juventud Guerrera, Hector Garza, and Lizmark Jr. defeating Laparcus, Psychosis, and Viano 4. Then we get a big match that's been building, I think, for most of this early 6 months of the year. We get Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan in a retirement match. Jacqueline's with Sullivan. Well, come to find out, after they beat the ever-living hell out of each other all over the area again, Jacqueline ends up costing Sullivan the match. So he's forced to retire, and Jimmy Hart is all like, remember this, Sullivan, this is all because of you, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so Kevin Sullivan's going to go away. Kind of weird. I mean, that you'd have two people that was he hurt?
No, it was time for Sullivan has been wrestling since the early 80s. Not to mention at this point he's the booker. That's kind of was this story for Benoit and Sullivan goes all the way back to like 96, but it's not even Sullivan and Benoit. It was started with Sullivan and Pillman originally.
Who's now over with the bad guys.
Who left? Well, he calls Sullivan the Booker Man in one of his promos, and it becomes known that Sullivan's has been booking WCW television, and I think this was a way for him to get off television permanently, because except for a couple of spots here and there where he shows up, you never see Kevin Sullivan on TV ever again.
Kind of crappy, because honestly his character had grown on me.
Yeah, but I think it was
6 months.
I think they knew that this is where they had to draw the line in the sand between these two. Otherwise, Benoit and Sullivan would have feuded for 2 or 3 more years.
Short of killing one or the other.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get past the story between the two. So getting one to go off television was a way to let the other one go to a different story. You know what I mean? Like the story had ran its course.
And speaking of women turning on their charge, if you will, the next match we get Jeff Jarrett fighting Steve Mongo McMichael for the U.S. heavyweight title, and Deborah turns on Mongo. Who didn't see this coming?
Well, apparently Mongo.
I mean, there was a point about a month ago where he's like, I think I'm being set up to take a long walk off a short pier. The dude, you called it, and then they lulled you into a false sense of security just for you to get drop kicked off said pier.
And then, of course, we know in reality, Deborah and Steve were getting ready to split. All right, we're already split.
There were a few Halliburton shots given to Mongo. He loses the match. And yeah, that is it there. I think the funniest comment of that whole thing is, well, who's going to pay the credit cards now? Where do we head to next? We get, this was we get the Scott Hall and Savage versus DDP and Mr. Perfect. And kind of later in the match, there's a weird...
Due to copyright concerns, let's just call him Kurt Hennig.
No, I like Mr. Perfect better. But now you don't need to worry about... I don't care. I don't care.
Mr. Perfect here.
You get Virgil or Vincent or whatever the hell he is. I get Mr. Perfect, damn it. There's some weird thing later in this match where DDP's kind of hung up in the ropes and Hennig gets thrown into him and he feels disrespected or either way, he gets out of the ring and walks the hell off, and DDP proceeds to get the hell beat out of him because you can't win in a 2-on-1 unless you're like Luger.
Well, no, what I thought Henning Page pulls down the top rope and Henning falls out of the ring.
Well,
And that's what pisses him off and he walks off.
but Page is hung up. Like, I don't think Henning knew that Page was hung up.
Yeah.
Like, it was a really good spot for storytelling that, like, just kind of came off of, like, cheap to me. Because I'm like, I would get it if, like, something had actually happened. Like, DDP standing there on the, like, with his back to the thing and Henning gets thrown into, like, his elbow because he's, like this or something. That would have made sense. But, like, for him to just get flop out, like,
Gotcha.
what? Huh? That's it? That's what pissed you off and you're going to leave him to the Wolves here? But anyway, that's how WCW chose to do it. I don't really think him leaving was going to change the outcome of the match. I think the NWO were going to win anyway, whether he left or not. It was just kind of the way that match was going. I mean, you've got two big fellas and two also big fellas, but not quite as big and monstrous star power. The next match is Piper and Flair. The Horsemen try to interfere in the match. At one point, it looks like they've pretty much put Piper to bed, and the Horsemen actually like leave before the match is over, and Piper turns it around on him and gets the win. And none of like it's the weirdest thing. You're gonna come out and help your boss win his match. You're not gonna stay to make sure he wins the match.
I believe Mike Curtis ejects him from the ringside.
But when is that? They weren't supposed to be down there to begin with. What does that stop anybody?
And then Piper makes him go sleepy bye, right?
I do believe he takes the old.
He takes the old TJ.
Yeah. The end of the night, we get Luger and the Giant fighting Rodman and Hogan. It says defeated, but anybody that was watching wouldn't say they won. I think defeated because it's a disqualification, sure, but like they get their asses kicked.
I have here that Luger and Giant beat Hogan and Rodman by disqualification. I mean, by submission because Luger puts Hogan in the torture rack.
It's one of those things. If they won, you wouldn't have known it. I missed it clearly because
you're saying clearly they won the battle, but then at the end of the night, the NWO won the war.
A fake Sting tries to cost them the match, even, and that gets played up a little bit later. We'll talk about it. But yeah, a fake Sting comes out like you think it's Sting, but you can clearly tell it's not Sting. It's not as fake as original fake Sting. It's like a new fake Sting. A new take on fake Sting. I don't know. But that is how Bash at the Beach is going to close. The NWO stand tall with the Worm and Hogan. And yeah, go figure.
Right. We're going to go to July 14th, Monday Night Raw. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I was coughing. My bad. Freeman
give us the raw meat, bub.
From San Antonio, Texas.
Talk about your drastic travel plans.
Oh, it gets worse going where they are next week and the following week.
Well, I mean, it just gives you an idea on what they do for the WWE because they were in Canada and then, hey, let's go to Texas.
And then they go back to Canada.
They left one saddle area, go to another.
They literally go from over there to down here back to up there.
Let's go from the northern Cowboys to where the real Cowboys are from.
So, to start,
also lost today.
To start, Brett is hyping up his match against The Undertaker at SummerSlam the following month, after being run down by the Foundation. Stone Cold, Ken Shamrock, the Patriot, Psycho Sid, and HBK come to the stage. Boy, this U.S. and Canada stuff is really.
So we get a new wrestler alert. This is the Patriots' debut, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
The Patriot Del Wilkes. Not to be confused with our good time for a long time friend, the Patriot that we know now as Tom Brady. That the different Patriot,
Oh,
different
I thought you were
gimmick.
going to talk about the Hulk Hogan one. No, he wasn't the Patriot, was
No,
he?
this is a whole different gimmick. I believe our guy Honky owns this. The whole debate whether you own a gimmick or not. I believe Honky has the rights to this gimmick. To be honest with you,
Oh, no kidding.
now. But the Patriot Del Wilkes, I was a big fan of his when he was in WCW. He tagged with Buff when Buff was Marcus Alexander Bagwell. They were Stars and Stripes
Mm.
in like 95, 94, 95. They won the WCW tag team titles. I thought it was a really cool gimmick. You know, the red, white, and blue, or the black into the mask with the golden eagle on the face of the mask. A big guy, giant of a man. Years later, we come to realize that this was more of a payday for him. He was actually kind of funny as the Patriot, the U.S. Patriot, was more popular over in All Japan Wrestling than he was here in the States.
That
Go
makes
figure.
sense.
But you kind of come to figure out that he's kind of damaged goods in this run. He makes one or two pay-per-view spots, I think, and then his elbows messed up, his biceps torn. He doesn't stick around long. It's not long after before he retires. Sadly enough, Del Wilkes has passed away in the last couple of years. Has a very similar story with pills as Angle does, with 60 some pills a day type deal to deal with the pain. Played football at South Carolina, the University of South Carolina in the 80s.
So he's a cock.
Pretty good, solid wrestler. They start this they bring the Patriot in at a time that was absolutely perfect. Just
Yeah.
unfortunately, his body was not
I was
ready
going to say,
for.
this angle with everybody is the perfect time to bring him in against all complete Canadian. Well, not complete Canadian, but the Hart Foundation.
Yes.
So the Putskis defeat the Lawlers. It was good to see Ivan and Scott again. Anytime Brian Christopher loses, I like it.
So you don't have to hear the chuckle.
So you had father and son versus father and son.
Yes.
That's an interesting take.
Then Michikuchu. Nope, still screwed up.
Taka,
I got the Taka part.
Michu, Noku.
Michinoku defeats Tajiri without
The first part of his name is Michin.
Oh yeah. Sorry, there's something completely missing with that Michin. That's very
Couple machine gun jubblies.
I'd rather watch the other Michin. You guys realize who this Taka Michinoku is, right?
No.
It's your favorite segment of any Royal Rumble ever.
I know.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
He eats the mat with his face.
I didn't notice that. I noticed Tajiri.
A very different looking Tajiri, if I might add, because I'm pretty sure he's just wearing blue tights and blue kick pads here, not the big baggy pants, and he's clean shaven here as well.
And he doesn't have green mist coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, this is before the ECW Taka. Tajiri. This is straight from All Japan or New Japan. I think it's All Japan that they're working with. So yeah, this is no English Tajiri.
Really, the card to the main event is very meh. Bariqua's defeat the Headbangers, and Ken Shamrock gets one over on Jim Neidhart, which, come to find out, the next week, Bret Hart's actually keeping score of what side beats who, because he'll actually go to the camera and do this. Then Vader defeating Flash Funk. Legion of Doom versus the New Blackjacks end in a no contest. I don't think this match even gets started because I'm pretty sure the Godwins come down and ambush LOD, and Hawk ends up with a huge gash in the back of his head. I'm pretty sure that's where his head hit the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
But it looked bad, and definitely.
What you're saying is Hakuto blood everywhere?
Next.
Ichiban!
So earlier, I think in the night or the end of Raw last week, Mankind said Stone Cold needs somebody different, and I had no clue which one we were gonna get. But halfway through the match, where Stone Cold is going in as a handicap match, you see these 2 feet just happen
Intros.
and start walking towards somewhere, and then it cuts to Dude Love coming down the ramp, and he's got a new tag team partner. It's not Mankind. um.
Yo, have mercy.
But Dude Love basically saves the match for Stone Cold. Stone Cold was outdone. He ain't keeping these titles, and he ends up pinning Bulldog while Owen is just standing in the corner. It's like, yeah, it's not going to be a pin. And the ref comes down to here. Owen just dives into the ring like a foot away, and was like, I didn't think that was going to be a pinfall. Shit. And actually, Stone Cold gives him the title, and they shake, and Dude Love is in the corner with 2 blondes.
2 very good-looking blondes.
Yes. And I don't know if that's like Mick Foley not wanting to deal with HR next week, but he's.
I think if you watch the Beyond the Mat documentary, I believe, you see this whole creation of Dude Love.
No kidding.
And how this is the alter ego that eventually Mick Foley originally wanted to be. He wanted to be a Shawn Michaels-esque wrestler that got over with the ladies and was, I think at some point when he actually wrestles as Dude Love, he uses the Sweet Shin music. He stands in a corner and he stomps just like the Sweet Chin music. Only he runs up and he kicks him in the shin and then double arm DDTs him.
Sounds like something somebody orange would do. Yeah, it was a meh Raw. Basically, if you're there for the beginning and there for the end, and maybe 1 or 2 segments in the middle.
Well, I know one thing you can tell from this card.
What?
We're not in Canada because everybody from Canada lost.
Also true, and there were American flags freaking everywhere.
And even in the dark match, The Undertaker defeats Bret Hart and Steve Austin in a triple threat match to retain the WWF title. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is the time and era. I didn't watch this Raw, but this is Signomania. There's signs everywhere.
Freaking everywhere. And not that I want to see that many signs, because I'd hate to be the person behind the sign. But that was cool to, see everybody's signs and all that stuff. Going over to TJ, right?
Yep.
We're going to kick off the 14th of July episode of Nitro. The greatest debut of any faction group thing in the history of anything. To kick off Nitro this beautiful evening, we get the Nitro Girls!
I had no clue where the fuck he was going with that language.
Oh, yeah. July 14th was the debut of the Nitro Girls. I wrote down in capital letters with 2 dashes between it, WOW. Wow.
Well, it means a lot that it's actually, they were in Orlando for this, and it was the Orlando Magic dance team is what inspired the Nitro Girls. And it makes commercial breaks for WCW for like the next 3 years way better.
Oh, yeah. I love how we come back. And they do quite the, quick little outfit changes. I will give them props. The only caveat to this is at the beginning of the episode of Nitro, the audio is kind of off. Like something's messed up. The broadcast team, one of them sounds like they're a million miles away. The other one sounds like they're on top of the mic. Yeah, it was rough to start the evening after. I think everybody were stepping on their tongues watching the Nitro Girls and might have leaned on buttons. I'm not sure. They get it rectified.
Diamond upside down is a pussy.
I hope they caught that on there. That audio had me for going for a minute. Of what the hell is that?
I just made Ryan's night.
Anyway, now that I'm thoroughly thrown off, thanks for that. I had to figure out what was making noise that wasn't a moment ago.
It said Diamond, and I thought maybe it's like a it's me, it's DDP. Nope. Nope.
Diamond
Were you
shaped like
expecting
a.
Bang?
Yeah, I was expecting something at DDP. Not exactly that part, but we're all good.
We get some dark matches
It's
of Joe
better.
Gomez defeating Jeff Bradley. Dark match. Bill Goldberg defeats Hugh Morris. Dun, dun, dun.
That's funny.
I'm wondering if he got introduced as Bill Gold or Bill Goldberg or as Bill Gold.
I don't know.
Originally, when they start introducing, I think you'll see it when they introduce him when he starts showing up on Nitro. They don't first announce him as Bill Goldberg. They announce him as Bill Gold, and then it's just Bill Goldberg, and then it's Goldberg.
We had Prince Iakea versus Alex Wright. Ends in a no contest. Eddie defeats Chavo. The Steiner brothers defeat Vicious and Delicious by disqualification. I'm sure I've got some notes we can cover between here and there. Here we go. DDP cut a promo on how much he had in common with Mr. Perfect.
I'm waiting for you to butcher the next match's name.
We're getting there. They revealed the fake Sting was allegedly Nash from the Bash at the Beach.
They did this a few times. How the hell can you fake Sting with Kevin Nash?
Well,
Sting
he was huge.
Sting is 6 foot, but it was always, I hated this even as a kid because they do this with Nash like 3 or 4 more times. But as a kid, I'm like, how can the announcers be that blind to realize Sting is 6'2"? The fake Sting standing there is 7 foot tall. There's not many 7-foot wrestlers in the business, but yeah, you're gonna go, that's Sting. What do you do? Stand on stilts?
Oh, that's why. Yeah, I got nothing for that. That's why Iakea and Alex Wright's match comes to a close. The Giant gets in the ring and just kills Iakea, and Alex Wright's like, dog him out. I got
God,
nothing.
sounds great. Nash should or Giant should destroy everybody.
He takes out. He calls out Nash. Security comes out. They make the Giant leave.
This by far is my favorite version of the Giant or Big Show version. He looks his best. He's still young.
Moves
the dude's not
great.
the dude's not even 30 years old here. This Giant should have been the top dog in WCW at this time.
Supposed to have his match, not screwed out of his match. NWO arrives. Nash looks injured. So how could it have been him as fake Sting? We get another Raven and Stevie Richards segment that ends with Raven full on abusing him again. Savage comes out and attacks Laparca, thinking it's DDP, to which DDP attacks him from behind. But then Perfect takes out DDP and Savage beats the hell out of DDP.
You missed the match, dog.
I haven't. Oh, what? Benoit and Mike Enos?
I was waiting. Mike Enos.
Sure.
I love it. I thought you were going to say Enos.
No, Enos is where I was going with that one. Yes, we got Laparca and Super Callow. Like I said, you heard how that ended.
Congratulations,
Sure. We get NWO come out because they have a match, and Nash is in the wheelchair hurt. We get Scott Hall and 6 defeating Harlem Heat. Masahiro Shono and the Great Muta defeating the Public Enemy. And finally, we get Jeff Jarrett with Deborah defeating Ric Flair by DQ to retain the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. The NWO brings back out at the end of the night the fake Sting, only for it to actually be Sting and shocking the hell out of them, and they flee.
Not to mention Luger challenges Hogan, correct?
I don't think that was this week. I don't have that one in the notes. I think it's next week.
My photos show him at the end of the show. That's why I'm asking.
I think that's who they were beating down when fake Sting came out for the rescue.
Okay. Sounds good.
Want me to go to the 22nd Nitro, or do we want to go to the Raw Meat guy?
Let's go to the Raw Meat guy.
Wait, your Raw's the 22nd? Your Nitro's 22nd?
We have a couple random Tuesday Nitros.
This is a Tuesday Nitro. I forget why it was preamp, but they say it in the broadcast.
Baseball wouldn't, like, All-Star game, maybe?
No, Home Run Derby is usually on a Monday, and then the actual All-Star game is on a Tuesday.
Why would a Nitro have to get bumped on TNT to a Tuesday?
Go ahead.
NASCAR. I don't know.
Olympics?
From Halifax, Nova Scotia, back up to Canada from the Metro.
Dude,
Center.
not just Canada, like damn near Greenland.
All right, not.
I'm just saying, Nova Scotia's even more that way than me.
I've been
on the map.
Halifax. But yeah, they start this Raw interviewing fans outside the arena.
Oh, I know. I looked at. I'm looking it up, but I also remember beforehand. Remember, TNT is owned by Ted Turner. There's not the only thing that Ted Turner loves more than professional wrestling and his own money is the Civil War, and they were doing a giant TNT developed saga of the Civil War that aired on Sunday and Monday of that week. Is why Nitro got pushed to Tuesday. I remember that now. I was looking it up, and before it even loaded, I remembered Civil War. The only thing Ted Turner ever loved more than his money or wrestling or his 7 wives or whatever he had was the Civil War. So that would get top billings for TNT.
So
I digress.
Back to Halifax, Nova Scotia, up in Canada. The WWF started interviewing fans before the show outside the arena of, what side are you on?
Good thing they didn't wait till like November to do this. What side are you on? I'm on whatever side's warm.
But yeah, it was kind of funny how a lot of these fans all face painted with the Canadian flag. This I thought was very a hostile crowd episode because there was a dude straight up with a Canadian flag, like full Canadian flag, just standing at ringside, and as they were walking by would wave it in front of people all night long. Like I was waiting for him to just clock one person and it'd be game over. First match of the night, Vader defeats Ken Shamrock via countout. It was a fun match, but the only reason why Vader ends up winning by countout is because Bulldog comes down the ringside and power slams Ken Shamrock as Ryan just disappeared. Oh no, Ryan has disappeared, and now he messed up all our things. Shoot, I must fix. I fixed.
He's back.
Oh, his little pierces. His little earpieces died. Second match of the night is, for me, a throwaway. Brian Christopher and Brian Walsh. Anything? No? Okay, good. The Godwins defeated the Headbangers and the New Blackjacks in a 3-way tag team match. This was fun, but they are really pushing the Godwins here.
Are they wearing their Confederate flags under their bibs yet? Or are they wearing no shirts under their bibs?
No shirts, but one of them has a Confederate flag, sewed in on his
yeah, this is
overalls.
the heel the heel Godwin run that was
Yeah, but they are pushing them as a heel pretty hard, especially to what they do to LOD next week. Then you have Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeating the Patriot via countout. This had a lot more stuff going on outside the ring than inside the ring. The Hart Foundation comes down the commentary, and Brett is yelling. The whole foundation is yelling at Vince. Brett then slaps Vince. The match is still happening in the ring, as you can see in the background when they keep panning back and forth. I think it's funny how JR is like snapping his fingers at somebody to hand him a mic so people actually hear what's being said at commentary with Brett. But after getting pulled away by Bulldog, Brett just rips through Bulldog and puts Vince basically in a hockey chokehold. You know, with the shirt and everything all pulled up. The Patriot then gets out of the ring and gets involved, and then all hell breaks loose after that. He gets mollywopped, and Hunter is going to win by countout because of it. Next match. Actually, before the next match, the Hart Foundation attacks HBK in the locker room, so he cannot be Stone Cold's and Dude Love's tag team partner for the 6-man flag on a pole match during the main event. So, who they got? We gonna find out. Goldust and Farouk. I don't actually have notes on this one. Goldust does win, but for the main event, the Hart Foundation, Brett, Owen, and Bulldog defeat Dude Love, Stone Cold, and The Undertaker in a flag on a pole match where it was a pretty good back and forth match, and they both take each other down. Undertaker's the first one to get up and start heading towards the American flag, but then Owen comes over, grabs the Undertaker's leg as nobody's getting to Brett. Brett grabs the flag, and another win for Canada. And that's how you close out tonight's Monday Night Raw. So if you're in Canada, you got the win. If you're in the US, you got the win. So nobody's won on the opposite's territory. DJ?
The dark match for Raw. The Undertaker defeated Vader in a casket match.
I want that.
Do you want to watch Vader go into a casket? You should have. Never mind.
So they found a casket big enough to put Vader in?
Oh, no,
They
he was
had a-
cremated.
They had a giant ass one made for Yoko's. Oh, so no.
Dude,
It's like the Undertaker tells the future.
Everybody dies.
Yeah, but Undertaker showed everybody we're gonna need a casket this big.
Yeah, can I get that? Like that?
You gotta get him into it with no baby.
The fat bastard.
All right, TJ, we're July 22nd. Like we said, Nitro preempted, moved to Tuesday night. I am not helping you with that first guy's name that faced Conan because I can't pronounce it.
Hold on, we're gonna start the night off with the Nitro girls, Bischoff and Hogan. Hogan says he'll beat Luger and Sturgis. That's right. The next pay-per-view is in Sturgis. Kind of funny how you have the biker gang and we're going to Sturgis.
Well, Bischoff liked riding his Harley.
This is true. What were you? Oh. Defeated Subusa. Subusa? The T silent, I'm assuming?
T Subasa? That's what it looks like.
I think the T is silent. I think it's Sabusa.
Either way.
Yeah, I mean, you know. Ultimo Dragon defeats Lord Steven Regal to win the TV title.
So basically, Regal was the TV champion for a month for no reason whatsoever because I don't think he defended it but more than once on Nitro, and they gave it back to Ultimate Dragon
Yeah, it was
because
kind of
they
shocking. I
because
wrote
they real
shockingly.
because they realized that the fans liked watching Ultimo Dragon wrestle every single week. Which, in case you're a wrestling fan and you're wondering what a television title is, it's this exactly. It's a championship that's supposed to be defended on television every single week, whether it's on Nitro or the main event or Saturday night. It was supposed to be so that there was a title match on television every single week. And usually for WCW, it turned into their worker belt more than
Remember how
anything
Cena
else.
did the open title challenge? You want some? Come get some. This was that first version of it. Flair comes out to introduce a new fourth. Oh, that's why I wrote it. Flair comes out to introduce a new fourth horseman. But Six comes out instead as the segment kind of breaks down. We get the Giant defeating the Great Muta by DQ because Muta losing. Could have said it. I could have said it. Spared you
Has
all.
Conan hasn't joined the NWO yet, has he?
Damn close. We're coming. Like
Because I'm looking at photos and him and Hogan tease it when he comes out for his match.
Yeah.
Not to
They're-
mention we get Just for Men Hogan here where he's got an all black mustache.
Yeah.
Like his paint's on thick.
The Giant was supposed to have a match with Muta. He gets misted. He fights off Muta, Vincent, and Savage. Luger comes out to give him aid, but almost eats a choke slam for his troubles as the blinded Giant didn't realize it was him. Last second, Luger's like, "Hey, yo, don't kill me. I'm trying to help. It's me." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Yeah." Jeff Jarrett and Deborah interfere with Mongo and Malenko's match, costing Mongo the match. Honestly, hated that. Would have rather have seen that match go clean, but I get why. I really liked Mongo wrestling, and him and Malenko were having a hell of a match. And yeah, I just don't like the whole. I get Deborah turned on him, but and I get they were probably gonna drag it out, but just do it like, let them fight it out first, man. Like two guys I wanted to see actually. You have the technical Malenko and the Beast Mongo, and it was fun, and they ruined it, and I was mad. Jeff Jarrett wants Malenko to join an alliance with him. He doesn't specifically say what they'd be called or whatever. He just says, "Hey, seems like lately you need to have friends. I want to be your friend." Eddie Guerrero defeats Hector Guerrero. They were having a little spat after the whole Chavo thing. We get JJ Dilling saying he has a contract for Raven. Stevie Richards comes out to aid in the signing of Raven. Raven ends up tearing up the contract and, go figure, beating on Stevie Richards again. This has been a repeating thing every week. Luger, after beating the vicious of the delicious and vicious part by DQ and fighting off Vincent and Bagwell, he shoots on Hogan, drawing Hogan out. He says he's going to make a special point out of Luger. Luger, who was talking like he's just, some regular guy, and Hogan's like, no. I'm going to make something special out of you and Sturgis, dog. We get Mean Gene with a Rey Mysterio on crutches chat until K-Dog, aka Conan, we're really selling the NWO turn now, comes out and kicks out Rey's crutches, challenging him to a match in Sturgis. I'm really confused at how the dude on crutches is going to fight. Sure, we'll go with it. DDP attacks Perfect in the ring. Whoa. No, I don't want that. I don't know, where were we? We
Mortis
get
Wrath defeat
Laparca and
Psychosis.
Bagwell defeats Booker T. Hennig defeats Wall Street, the Outsiders, Nash and Hall defeat Benoit and Flair to retain the tag team championships. And that is how we close out our random Tuesday episode of Nitro. Building for Sturgis.
All right.
Did you do Sturgis is a bike rally? Like that one?
Yeah, it's during the bike rally.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's actually kind of dope.
No, it was. Well, I'll get more into details about that when we get there.
Okay.
Next month. Next month.
It sounded dope.
July 28th, Monday Night Raw comes from the Pittsburgh Civic Center in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Do you know what I do every time I pass Pittsburgh?
Try not to vomit.
Every time I see the penguin.
So
The dogs did not like that.
LOD.
I mean, how original can a town be? Let's have 3 sports teams and make them all the same colors.
I know black. Is it the same color gold too?
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Oh, well, LOD defeats Los Barriquas by DQ. The Godwins come to ringside and they interfere with LOD by beating up Hawk and throwing slop onto him, which was gross as hell. Because at first thought, I thought it was vomit.
Oh, it's like Roman in the dog food.
You never know what was in that slop bucket.
Hey, speaking of dog food, hold on.
Yes.
Not joking.
Have you not caught the Undertaker podcast with Phineas in it? Where he asked what was in the bucket the night he slopped Sonny?
No.
They literally walked into the middle of the locker room, set the slop bucket down in the middle of the locker room, and said, "Guys, this is going on Sonny tonight." And then they walked out of the room for 2 hours and came back. And he goes, "When we set it on the floor, it was about half full. By the time we picked it up, it was full." That's how much Sonny was loved. He goes, "I don't know if it was all piss or not, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't."
At least it all wasn't white.
Anyhow, I digress. Next. Here's your Truth Commission.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Truth Commission defeats Bob Holly, Flash Funk, and Jesse James in a 6-man tag match. This was fast.
The Truth Commission is Recon Sniper and then Kurgan, who is the interrogator. They are managed by, I believe his name is the Commandant or whatever is what they first call him. They change his name a couple times. But this is Don Callis. This is Don Callis that ran with Jericho. It was Don Callis that led Kenny Omega recently in AEW, TNA, all that stuff. The ball-headed guy has the Callis family now in AEW. This is his managing thing. He was supposed to be a tag team. They were supposed to be reintroduced as a tag team, him and the model Rick Martel. They were going to reintroduce them as some 90s version of the Maxim male model type gimmick, but Martel said, "Nah," and just bounced out and didn't do it.
Said, "Nah."
The whole Truth Commission thing doesn't last very long because besides Kurgan, nobody cares. There is a guy in the Truth Commission that becomes a player later on a little bit. I think he's bald headed now, maybe a little bit of hair, but it's Bull Buchanan. He becomes the Boss Man's sidekick for a little while later on this year and next year. What else did he do? He was John Cena's sidekick when John Cena started his rap gimmick. I believe he called him B Squared. It was kind of the end of his run as a wrestler, and then I believe his son is Josh Briggs in NXT.
Oh, no kidding.
So
with the best match of almost the weekend
of Mania, yeah, I believe it's Josh Briggs. I'll double check that, but I'm positive that's who is his son.
Um, so after that match, Triple H comes to the ring, and he's supposed to have a match with Vader. Never happens. Never even comes close to happening, outside of Vader hitting the top ramp as Triple H looks at the cameraman. Why are you so close? And screaming at him. Just drops the camera. It's Mick Foley dressed as the cameraman, and they start going at it, and you get Vader. I'm out.
I'm head out.
Yeah, basically, like there's nothing for me here. And
Oh, sorry, I was wrong. It's not Josh Briggs. Brooks Jensen is his son.
no, not
Colby
that
Kings.
guy.
Just wanted to clarify that and get that
And,
right.
and they just keep beating each other up through the crowd, and see you later. Bring in the next match, which it's Crush and Farouk. With both factions at ringside, chaos does ensue, and both factions end up fighting in the ring. Los Bariquas runs down to the ramp, and they start beating the crap out of Crush. Like he's on the ground on the ramp, and they're just standing around him, just stomping the crap.
We're in gang war.
Yeah,
It's the faction wars. I mean, that's the name titled for Survivor Series. It's called Gang War. They're just a couple months ahead of Survivor Series.
Next match, God wins, defeating Dude Love and Stone Cold Steve Austin by countout. Stone Cold and Dude Love. This was for the WWF Tag Team Championships. They win by countout. Stone Cold grabs Owen afterwards at ringside, and they start battling. All four teams end up coming down. LOD. Ow, man. Start fighting. This is where the dog food comes into it. An arm wrestling contest. Ken Shamrock, British Bulldog. Back and forth for about a minute and a half. Ken Shamrock's about to win. Headbutt from the British Bulldog, and hits him with a chair a couple times, and then just out of nowhere grabs the dog food, just rips the top off, like a whole like meat chunk of it, and just all over Ken Shamrock's face. Like, I'm pretty sure his mouth was open. It was definitely yummy.
Next.
Probably worse than what Roman got, by the way.
There's probably Diddy more beef stew.
Yeah.
Which, if you're poor, you know what that tastes like.
Devin Storm. I don't remember this match. Devin Storm defeating Ace Starling.
You shouldn't. It's only 44 seconds. Move to the next one.
Okay, got it. Cool. Boom. Goldust defeating Rockabilly ends in a no contest.
Shouldn't remember that one either. It was less than a minute and a half.
I did like the dress that they put on the mannequin. I was like, you're going to be wearing this.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Because Marlena kept saying wouldn't be able to fill out his tights.
Okay, so this is what they're building towards for SummerSlam for this year. You just had that, and it built pretty well because you had the Canadian Stampede where you had that 10-man tag team match.
Yep.
Now you're getting individual matches with the same people in it. I don't think you're getting an LOD. I don't remember LOD being on the card for SummerSlam. I could be wrong. But you're getting Austin versus Owen for the Intercontinental Championship because Brett has the main event match against Taker. Bulldog versus Shamrock's going to turn into a dog food match where if the Bulldog doesn't win, he will eat a can of dog food. Austin and Owen is a kiss. If Austin doesn't beat Owen for the Intercontinental title, then he will kiss his ass. And then you're getting Goldust versus Pillman. If Pillman, the loser has to wear a dress. So that's what you're headed into for SummerSlam this year.
So excited. And the Patriot defeating Bret Hart. But before the main event, Shawn Michaels comes to the ring and then announces that he's going to be the special guest referee because he isn't quite able to wrestle yet after the beating he suffered last week between the Bret Hart and Undertaker match at SummerSlam, which, if you guys remember, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk paid tribute to that at
SummerSlam.
was it SummerSlam? I was gonna say Bash
Yeah.
Berlin, but yeah.
No, I was there. I
But the
saw it.
Patriot versus defeating Bret Hart. We're in America. America's got to win.
It's still a good. It's still good for Brett to put over the U.S. talent that would, especially a newcomer to WCW or WWE. I mean,
Yeah.
all right. So July the 28th episode of Monday Nitro comes from the Charleston Civic Center in Charleston, West Virginia. I didn't realize it's July 28th. That was my grandfather's birthday. Go ahead, TJ. You're awake.
We got Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair defeating Vicious and Delicious. Start off the night. Luger revealing that Hogan must defend his title every 30 days. And Luger versus Hogan will happen on next week's Nitro. It's already set in stone. There's nothing that Hogan can do about it. Kind of weird because we're getting ready to go to Sturgis, but all right, sure. Random title match time. Ultimo.
It's also funny that he's got to defend it every 30 days and he hasn't defended it since when?
Month.
Exactly.
Ultimo Dragon defeated Prince Iaukea to retain his TV championship. Benoit and Mongo defeat the Texas Hangman, Killer, and Psycho.
Just two jobbers thrown with it and put a mask on.
Alex Wright, this is a big one. Alex Wright defeats Chris Jericho to win the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, I remember watching this.
Shocking.
I remember watching this and I completely forgot that Alex Wright won the Cruiserweight title.
Really, really weird. We get a Flair and Perfect. Flair says Perfect's a horseman. Perfect says he isn't. Says he's still a free agent. Mean Gene interviews Dean Malenko and Jeff Jarrett. Dean appears to agree to work with Jeff Jarrett and Deborah. Six defeats DDP. Malenko defeated Hector Guerrero. The Giant defeats the Great Muta. Conan defeats La Parka with Sonny Ono. Scott Steiner with Rick Steiner defeats Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth by disqualification.
Conan's wearing a new shirt.
Mean Gene with K-Dog. He says he's going to eliminate the guys he brought to WCW. He's now in the NWO. Macho says he's going to take out the Giant. The Giant warns him to stay in the crowd where he's hiding. It'll be the safest thing for him. Zbyszko, there's a really weird spot where, like, Zbyszko gets a hold of Bischoff and, like, it was kind of weird. And he drags him to the ring and feeds him to the Giant. And it was all kind of weird. The whole thing of it. But yeah. He gets a hold of him and he drags him down to the Giant and, like, here you go. Kill him.
Awesome. All right. Well,
I'm trying to remember what happened. I think we get some more Nitro girls.
That's important.
It is. Dude, the segments you get from them girls these first few weeks, pretty good.
I would imagine it ends the same way every episode of Raw Nitro ends. The NWO take out the Steiners and and we move on from there.
No Sting.
So we're headed to August. No Sting. You don't get Sting yet. We're headed to August. This is going to be a crucial month for both of you. TJ has Hog Wild. I think it's Hog Wild. Is the pay-per-view.
Looking.
It's Hog Wild the first year, then it turns into Road Wild. So that's why I'm trying to remember which one it is, because they get sued by Harley Davidson for using Hog.
Road
AJ
Wild.
has.
It's Road Wild 97.
Is it Road Wild?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because Hog Wild 96 would have been when Hogan beat Giant for the world title the first time. So this is their second trip to Sturgis. AJ has a huge month with SummerSlam. At this point, SummerSlam's not the number 2 show of the year for them. It's the number 3 show basically. Rumble's still ahead of SummerSlam as far as that top 4 echelon. I believe this SummerSlam holds value or precedence because this is their return to New Jersey. WWF has not wrestled in New Jersey in a few years due to taxes
Was
from
it
the athletic
taxes?
commissions. It's the athletic commission taxes that they have to pay.
Oh, okay, I knew it was the athletic commission, but I
Um,
thought it was something to do with that.
And I can't remember, but I think they do it during the show or they did it during the free for all for SummerSlam. But they award a championship belt to the mayor of New Jersey or the city they're in, which I think they're in Uniondale. But it's a pivotal month for both of you as far as August goes. July for both of you were very blah. And I think that was because your pay-per-views were at the beginning of the month.
And I get another pay-per-view at the beginning of the month.
The back of the back. You're back to. I think though for August you have a pay-per-view and a Clash of Champions.
Oh, I'll have to. It's not listed on the sheet, so
If
I'll
I'm
have
not
to find it.
mistaken, you have, or it's the very, very, very beginning of September. You have a Clash of Champions. There's a Clash of Champions in there somewhere with you.
I'll have to find out. Might be more to watch.
I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and we'll remind people next week or next time we do the show or this series. I'm gonna give July to nobody because it was literally a push for both of you.
You know what that means? We can't tie at the end of the year.
You both are pushing towards stories to keep going. You're keeping stories going. They're not getting mundane. Just WWF has more stories they're pushing. Because they did the thing with the 10-man tag and then broke them all into singles matches. But the war for WCW versus the NWO is definitely picking up. You've now got dark matches with Goldberg, so Goldberg will be on TV not very long from now. The whole Four Horsemen thing is picking up. You're getting ready to have Anderson's retirement speech, and then the mockery that comes of that. To build, WCW is doing the smart thing of they're building the Road Wild, but they're also building to Fall Brawl in September. With their stuff. So that's what they're building a little long term more than what WWF is doing at the time. But I'll just give it as a push to both of you. And August is going to be really tough for me because I know what both of you have for August and I don't want to have to pick it. So it shall be fun.
Yeah. And before we go, do we want to hit anything on the today's stuff?
Hit TJ right between the eyes.
Because we have Friday Night SmackDown now on the USA Network, and it was a okay show.
Oh yeah.
The logo looks like shit.
I hate it.
All right, I'm gonna be the minority in this because I don't mind it.
It looks like an S. It doesn't look like a D at all. It's dumb.
It looks like a blue D to me under at the bottom half of the S.
If they'd have brought the blue part further to make that it's a D. Because right now it just looks like an S with a slash in it. It's two different colors. Dumb.
It looks like a D to me, but what do I know?
August 21st is a Clash of Champions.
Yes. So TJ
Nashville.
TJ may have the advantage going into August because he technically has 2 premium shows in the same month. But we shall see.
And I kicked the month off of the Go Home episode. Again.
So I don't have anything recent. It's wrestling. It's been going pretty good. I think we'll touch base more after we get through closer to Bad Blood. I feel like there'll be some more stuff to talk about.
Beads
Yeah.
don't taste good, I'm assuming.
What?
Beads don't taste good, I'm assuming.
I'm assuming. I wonder how hard that was to get out. I mean, it had to hurt. But I'm also wondering how they tasted. They shouldn't have tasted good anyway. They were in his crotch. Remember, they were in Drew's crotch, then Punk kisses him, then Drew feeds him to Punk. Sounds like Punk lost 3 times in that battle.
We sterilized him between the 2 nights.
And to Mike, the guest sidekick that we've had, the guest host that we had on the show a week or two ago. It's been a long weeks for us. We've all been battling sickness and schedule conflicts, and AJ's over here dying. To Mike, I appreciate you being on there a couple weeks ago, but the Terror Twins are still better than the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
But guys, it's officially 2 hours from my birthday being over.
And you gotta work.
And I gotta work, so I'm gonna go catch a couple of naps.
Hopefully it's one nap and it's like the whole time.
Hopefully the Commanders can win more games, not just against the Giants.
Well, you played twice.
It was rough, but a win's a win. You know, we had a friend that we asked week 1, what's it like to win with only kicking 6 field goals? I went ahead and said, look what you can do. I can do better, and did 7. So
you were one short of tying the record.
Hey, I can't complain, guys. It is my birthday weekend, so to speak. Notre Dame destroyed a team that they should have, just like they didn't do last week. The Commanders win. I'm talking wrestling.
Red
Couldn't
Sox
be much
lost.
better. Kiss my ass. Don't
Again?
care.
3 of 4? We took the series 3 of 4?
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like that, Debbie Downer ruins my birthday. Congratulations.
Well, don't worry. Judge hit the Grand Slam the day before.
I can't complain. This will be my 37th trip around the sun, so to speak, or however
your back still hurts.
Have we hit a year of the show yet?
Yes, we're past a year.
Are we?
The year should have been last week. I'm almost positive.
But
we did it the week of. I think we did it the week of Grayson's birthday is when we did it, when we started this stuff. So it's been fun.
So now
for
we're
a year,
full year old.
But
we're gonna celebrate the birthday of the show with you, pal.
And that works for me.
That way we can remember. Because otherwise,
I'm sad
who the hell
to announce
knows?
this is the end of the show.
No. Wait, you mean I don't have to watch any more WCW? What?
But it's just now getting good. Now you're gonna want to watch it. It is actually the back half of WCW '97 is a lot of fun. You're gonna enjoy it if you sit back and watch it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan has basically just told you who is winning this year.
No, because WWF has the same thing. The back half of 1997 for both shows is very entertaining. You have who is Kane? What's Kane gonna look like? Kane's burnt. How are they gonna put a burnt guy on TV? You have Canada versus the US until it's Vince versus Canada. You NWO versus Sting, NWO versus WCW. The United States title gets handed around like it's a Florida convention. I don't know. But the back half of 97 for both of you is going to be extremely tough for me to pick. I'm not looking forward to it, but I am looking forward to it because
Didn't it give me the month to have the advantage?
This was my child. You got to remember, I was 10 years old officially from this day forward. I was 10 years old for this stuff. You were 9, you were 10, or you were 9, you were 10, however the hell this is laid out.
10,
but anyhow,
9, 4.
It's gonna be fun. This is my heyday. This is where I used to sit in my grandparents' dining room watching a TV on top of the refrigerator with the previous button. That's all I would hit because it would go from 21 to 17. USA to TNT. USA to TNT. Unless the Redskins were playing on Monday night, then it went ESPN, USA, TNT.
You had those numbers memorized.
Yes. But it's been a lot of fun. We're past halfway on this concept that I developed for this review. I think it's a lot of fun. I think next year, the next review thing we do, we'll mix it up a little bit, and maybe whoever wins this, might have to go against the Guru for another month, or for another review battle.
What you're saying is I need
I'm
to
throwing
lose.
it from here.
both
Throwing it
are.
from here.
We both are.
Sounds like fun for me. Maybe we'll get Mike involved, and I'll go against the new guy. How's that sound?
No. Loser has to do AEW for a year.
Oof. I don't even think I want to do that for a year.
I'd like to wish you guys well in your future endeavors.
We'll bring Mike in, and let's bring Mike in full time and just make him the AEW guy.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
say,
do Raw. TJ will do SmackDown. You'll do NXT, and he'll do
fucking
AEW.
logo.
Michael,
Hey, there's
absolutely.
some big things gonna debut on SmackDown or NXT. I can't wait to see what it is. Did you see the guy behind like the weird glass? Big.
No.
I thought it was debuted last week. You do Tuesday
My
night.
week.
We had
My
Alex
week behind.
Hammerstone.
I'm a week behind.
Yeah, we had Alex Hammerstone on
Damn
NXT
it.
last week. Do you remember
So
him?
he
from
was
when
the
we watched-
one.
when we watched the TNA pay-per-view at the beginning of the year, the big muscular dude that
Yeah.
kind of looked like Brock Lesnar.
So
I
he
was
was
like,
the
I
one
like that guy.
He was the one that was standing behind the weird glass the week before.
I'm taking it as it was him, unless they're pushing it that it's. I heard it was supposed to be almost.
No, dude,
I
that is
don't
a
li-
thick brother.
I don't like
Somebody
that
said
one.
it was Moose, and I was like,
Somebody
"Ooh."
did say it was Moose, and I got excited because you guys can go for Joe Henry all you want. I want Moose on NXT.
We
Dude, I
got
want to
both.
see. I want to see Moose and Obafemi.
Moose versus Obafemi would be amazing. But let's get out of here.
Yeah, somebody's gotta go take a nap, and TJ's gotta go to bed.
I'm not going to bed.
I don't know. You're fooling me. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Yeet.
Thanks for the birthday wishes.
Yeet.